Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors. Promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Welcome, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Yes. All right. So today we're going to be talking about how your environment is responsible for the majority of your abilities in life. Your wealth, your health, your happiness, your access to certain things, it just really stems from your environment, most of all. And I'm going to try to prove that in today's episode because, I very much am of the mind of release lots of positive content to help people who are like a little bit on the way there, get the full way there. So if you have a sound mind, sound body, and some free time, yes, you can definitely do anything. But it's also important to know that there are people out there that they just don't have the same resources and the abilities that the rest of us do because of their circumstance. So I'm not saying this as a doom and gloom, but I am saying this as we need to understand that your future success, your health, even your lifespan were already decided before you were born. Not by just genetics, not just by your IQ, but by the people and the places and the environment around you, right? So it doesn't matter sometimes how hard you work, or how smart you are or how much money you make if your environment is still going to be holding you back. So first we're going to be talking about how your environment is everything, how if you come from a really good environment, it's going to be hard to understand that. And then we're also be talking about like what we can do if we come from a bad environment. That's going to be at the end. So this is not going to be a doom and gloom one, but I still want to make the case that sometimes the environment is holding you back and we need to do something about that. Okay, so let's start off with this clip. This is something that Mikhalia Peterson posted. And let's just hear what this guy has to say.
I come from East London, okay? My friends can't feed their kids, okay? And if it was as simple as going out and being an entrepreneur, I can bet you they would do it. I'm sick of multimillionaires telling kids who can't afford to turn the heating on, you just need to be more entrepreneurial. It's sick, Dan. It's sick. But this gives people mental illness. It gives people mental illness. Tell them the truth, okay? Your older generation, we took the opportunities, and now it is almost impossible to get out of poverty. And don't just stand up there and wave, your millions of pounds in front of them and say, if you were entrepreneurial like me, you could do it, you could have it. Because it's sick, because they can't. They can't feed their kids, Dan. They can't turn the heating on. Don't tell them to be more entrepreneurial. Fix the system that drives more and more and more of them into poverty every generation. I come from East London.
Okay, so a lot of people did not understand what he was saying. All right, so let's take it back, right? So what he's saying is true, right? He's very passionate about this because it is true. There's a lot of people who are born maybe some sort of mental handicaps. Maybe they're in abject poverty. Maybe they're in really bad situations. And when the environment is so poor like this, upward mobility is very rare. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's very rare. You have to have some sort of support in your environment in order to break out of that. So a lot of people who come from abject poverty and they've made it on the other side, they'll say things like, my grandmother, would teach me this or that, or like support me, or I always had somebody that I could talk to, all of these things, right? So they had some sort of support, or they were just incredibly intelligent. Their IQ was just so much higher that they could break free of whatever the poverty mindset was built up around them, right? So anyway, so Mikhalia over here says, telling poor people there's nothing they can do about it is sick. She didn't really understand what he's saying here. Now, let's talk about Mikhalia for a minute, right? Actually, let's talk about how your environment is responsible for the majority of your life, right? Changing your environment, we'll talk about after. But let's talk about what your environment can do for you. Why it is this way, right? So this is Mikhalia Peterson, Fuller, whatever. She's on, this is just hyperbolic, right? Entitled brat that doesn't understand people's situations, right? So Mikhalia Peterson she's coming from having a bad environment that caused her to develop an autoimmune condition. And we think it's mold or it's this or stress or something like that. There was some sort of environmental toxin growing up, which caused her body to attack itself. It made her very swollen, very sick, chronically in and out of the hospital. This is her environment causing her to be very ill, right? But she was very lucky in that she had a very intelligent, supportive family around her that took the time to take her to doctor's offices, to research. And they're, of course, very capable of doing the research mentally, processing the information to try to find out what they can do to help their daughter, who is in a very vulnerable position that she just can't get out of the situation herself. I'm not trying to say that like we need to pick on her or whatever like that. I know you guys like that because it's fun, right? But let's tone it down. The thing is, she does not understand what it's like to not have a supportive environment. She has no idea what that's like. She has never grown up with parents who hate her, who absolutely despise her, who say you deserve what you have. And I know parents, for like people who I've met in public school, like from all types of people you're going to expose your children to in public school. It's why I'm like kind of against it, because it can really mess up their mindset and everything. So I was exposed to, there's this one chick, actually I wrote about it. I commented to Mikhalia's thing. I'm like, look, lots of poor people have no support system, tons of chronic illnesses, just like she had, right? And it's a lot more complicated than let's make everybody entrepreneurs, right? It's not always mindset, willpower. People with family support like her cannot understand what it's like. So let's get a little backstory. This is a story from someone who I met in public school growing up. So there's this girl, and her mother absolutely hated her because she divorced the dad. She didn't like the father. The father ended up developing schizophrenia, so he became very abusive. So she left the child's father, and then she's a single mother. She's struggling. She's gaining weight. She's stressed. She's all these problems, right? And she ends up resenting her daughter, which is holding her back because she feels like she can't, put her daughter up for adoption or whatever it is, that she has to like bear this burden. But she treated her daughter like she was a burden. This poor little girl said after she was 4 years old and her parents split up, that she went from her mother loving her and being supportive of her to telling her every day that she was a mistake and she should have not had her, if you know what I mean. So this is every day this poor child is being told, you're not worth it. You're the biggest mistake of my life. You're this, you're that, the other. So of course, this little girl develops a lot of chronic illnesses, right? She's in extreme pain her entire life. She became allergic to water. And I know you're thinking, what are you talking about? So she had to, I don't know the specifics of it, but she had to mix water in something else so that she could drink it. Or if not, she would develop full body hives, like violently full body oozing type, really gross hives, right? So what a poor, and she couldn't even take a bath unless she mixed the water with something. It was like really weird. I don't know about that, but you have to understand this is like a weird thing. So that's not her fault. Anyways, and her mother would hardly feed her. So she'd always be starving, and we'd have to, like, the kids in the school, who again, she was lucky to have us, the kids in school, to be supportive, to like bring her extra food, right? But imagine if the kids in her school also were in abject poverty and didn't have extra food to give this poor little girl, right? So she ended up becoming pregnant around 15, not by choice. I won't get into that, but you can imagine she couldn't get childcare. Her mother held the whole like having to take care of the grandchild over her head. It was just absolute abuse to everybody involved. Her stepdad was a little creepy. I won't get into that, but you can imagine. So try telling this poor girl, just become an entrepreneur. Just pull yourself up by your bootstrap. It's your mindset that's putting you down. She's in and out of hospitals, right? Like 20 days out of the month. All right. Okay, if you don't like the topic, you could go, you guys. Anyways, so we have things like unchecked mental illness. We have abuse. We have neglect, abject poverty. And not everybody is going to be intellectually blessed. So let's go on to other things that your environment can do. Right? So these are studies. This is not opinion based. All right. So there's one study that found that the average income of a person's neighborhood is highly predictive of future earnings. Kids who grow up in affluent neighborhoods with high social capital, like connections, mentorship, access to better schools, are much more likely to escape poverty. So if you were born in abject poverty, but you have the benefit of being incredibly intellectually smart, then you can be maybe put into a magnet program, right? With kids for like a better school or whatever. And then you can be around kids with a better mindset, better connections, and then that can bring you out of poverty. So we need programs like this. These are important. It's not just, oh, pull yourself up. You need something to help people. Okay. Being surrounded by slightly better off, slightly wealthier peers is incredibly great for people who come from low socioeconomic status, right? So the other one is, there was a study done that said your wealth is more related to the average wealth of your best friends, they would say the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So it's usually your peers in school. The 5 of them, their parents, not them, their parents, because they're children, their parents' average wealth is what you can expect to make when you grow up. If you're a child, you have to look to your friend's parents, not you, your friend's parents. And also your friend's parents, if they have good, healthy romantic relationships, you'll be more likely to grow up and have a good, healthy romantic relationship, regardless of what your parents are. So if your parents are poor, but the average of the 5 friends you have parents are not, you're going to be better off. If your parents are divorced, have a horrible relationship, horrible skills, social skills, but the average parents of the 5 people you spend the most time with are really good and healthy and happy together, you're going to be better off. That's why this is so important. We need to focus on making sure people have access to people with more money. That's why I'm really a fan of mentorship, because if you come from poverty, but you are very driven to get out of it, there should be some sort of a way where you can seek out someone, even from a young age, to like mentor. I like mentorship programs. When I was little, there used to be like the Boys and Girls Club and stuff like that, big sister, big brother type of thing. And that's where if you were very successful in your life in some sort of area, you gave back by going and helping one of these kids from a poor neighborhood. That is so important. And rather than just saying, try harder, become an entrepreneur, let's focus our attention on what we can do. Okay, here's some other things. Okay, your social circle determines your habits. Okay, so obesity, again, spreads through your social networks. If your close friends become obese, you're 57 times more likely to become obese. If your friends regularly go to the gym, you're going to be more likely to go to the gym. You're going to feel more self-conscious if you don't go to the gym, which is nice. We love a little bit of peer pressure in the right direction. Peer pressure can be great in the right direction. If they eat junk food, you're probably going to do it too. If they don't, you're probably not going to. I would like to just say that I am a great influence on my friends because I never eat junk food. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do like all these negative habits. So I notice that when my friends hang around me, they don't feel like they need to do it as much. They're more likely to say no. Even if I wasn't there, they would be more likely to just go ahead and indulge, right? You guys are insane. Yes, I agree. All right. Peer influence also shapes your academic performance. So if If you're surrounded by high achieving peers, you're going to perform better academically. So a student in a school where high grades are normalized are far more likely to succeed than someone in an environment where education is undervalued. I used to volunteer in, they called it an alternative high school. And in this school, it was like everybody was kicked out. Either you had bad grades, you didn't have good attendance, there was something wrong, and the kid was kicked out of a regular public school and sent to the alternative high school. And that was like their last chance to like graduate from a school before they had to just take their GED or whatever it was called, right? So anyway, so I'm there working with these kids, and it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely depressing to be around these kids, and they really didn't have much of a chance. Like I would do, like we had to do like mini counseling services, whatever, and I would talk with this kid. I was assigned one kid, and very sweet kid, and he would tell me about how his mom was on drugs every day, so she would be like completely zoned out, drooling on the floor, and he would come home and see that, and he would try to take care of her the best he could, but there was never food in the fridge. He used everything on drugs. So she did. But so he would try to take extra food from like other kids and take it home. And that's what he would eat for dinner. And if he didn't have school that day, he didn't eat that day. I mean, really horrific things. I mean, you have to think about, thank God we have the public school free lunch, because wow, right? We would be in such a, like they would be in such a like worse case. So there's that. Then you have the fact that I'm like, oh, where's your dad? And then he brought the printout of his father's police report to show me. He was so proud too. He's so proud. He's like, this is my dad. And I'm just horrified, of course. And I'm like, oh, wow, he's so handsome. It's like really weird. But, you know, this poor kid, he didn't have a dad. His dad was constantly going back into jail. His mom was constantly on drugs. He didn't have extra family members. They had all passed away. He had nobody to talk to. He was alone all the time. He was socially awkward because of that. Thank God he could talk to me when I was there, but I'm not there forever. So it's just like it's a bad situation. So that's why I think instead of these entrepreneurial types being like, you can become a bajillionaire too, maybe spend more time encouraging people to help other people up rather than talking about how like wonderful you are and all the cars you have and all the wonderful garbage toys that you can afford. It's not really helping. So I'm not impressed by that anymore. I mean, it's funny, but okay. Poverty, of course, increases your stress, which worsens health and decision making. People think, oh, if you're under extreme stress, then you're going to be hyper focused on success because you have no other choice, right? Because a lot of people who've come from nothing, they say stuff like that. Well, I didn't have an option, so I had to become a billionaire. There was that chick who was like, would sell the mops on QVC, and then she became a shark. She would say that all the time. Well, I was a single mom, so I had to become a billionaire. Okay, when most people are stressed and they don't have any help at all, first of all, you have to say, oh, you have these young kids, so you had somebody to watch them while you're going on QVC to sell the mops, while you're going here and there you had some extra funds, or you could like mortgage your house. You could do something so that you can start this business. Like, let's not pretend you started from nowhere. It's disingenuous, okay? So anyways, chronic financial stress leads to increased cortisol, which contributes to heart disease, anxiety, and very poor decision making. So the more stressed you are about paying your bills, the less mental capacity you have to figure out how to make more money. So it is what it is. I'm not saying anything, whatever. Your neighborhood predicts your life expectancy. Okay. There's a 20-year difference in life expectancy between rich neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods. Okay, a child born in Beverly Hills is likely to live 20 years longer than one in a low-income area of Detroit. 20 years, okay? Let's not pretend that certain people aren't born with an advantage over another, right? And that's what that guy was saying in the video, and people go, oh, he's just a little whiny bitch, whatever. That's what he's saying. That's all he's saying. Like, if you don't come from abject poverty, And you have a social circle, you have friends, you have a teacher you can talk to that's not rude, mean to you. If you're more attractive, if you're female, let's just say people like to help women more than men. Let's be honest about that. All right. Exposure to violence and crime impacts mental health. So, violent crime, high crime environments put you at risk of depression, PTSD, and of course, substance abuse, because you tend to feel hopeless, and PTSD is very, very tied to a shorter lifespan and a shorter health span, and chronic illness and early demise, right? These things are very obvious. A lot of people in very low income neighborhoods, they live to about 45, right? They're not making it very long, okay? Then we have romantic relationships and how it influences your health and your longevity, right? So close relationship over money and fame, which of course money and fame is not as important as relationships, are the best predictors of happiness and longevity. So for example, people in toxic or high stress relationships have higher rates of heart disease and much shorter lifespans. This is just fact, right? Now, can you calm down? My God. So anyways, so if you have really good relationships in your life, it's going to be protective from the other factors of stress, right? So facts, I got it. Anyways, so let's just say you come from like a really good, healthy relationship, but you have financial troubles. You can lean on each other during financial troubles for support and encouragement to get out of them. If you're alone or everybody's telling you negative stuff, it's going to be a little harder. Okay, just keep trolling, Ben. Thank you for the boost. All right, so the broken window theory, right? Environment and behavior. A study found that when an area looks neglected, broken windows, graffiti, except for a design district because that is super trendy, but whatever. Crime increases because people subconsciously assume lawlessness. Gentrified areas often see a drop in crime as the environment starts improving because people stop wanting to mess up something when it looks nice, right? This is the other thing. Have you ever noticed, if there's any ladies watching, maybe not, but let's imagine. Have you ever noticed that if there's a mess in the kitchen or if you leave a few dishes in the sink, you don't clean them and wash them and put them away immediately, the next person who goes in there is just going to throw the dishes wherever and leave too, because they're like, you didn't clean it up, so why should I care? That is what this theory basically found. This is what the science behind that is. If somebody sees you don't care, they're not going to care too. This applies to so many things. Like, let's take it beyond the environment. Let's just say if you don't care about what you look like when you leave the house, people are going to treat you differently, right? This is reality. This is subconscious. We don't do it on purpose, but we're animals. So if you put a lot of effort into how you look and present yourself, you take care of yourself, other people will be more likely to take care of you. So that is just science, brah. Okay. Pollution and toxins in your environment. So children exposed to high pollution levels scored lower on their IQ and have higher rates of asthma and allergies and stuff like that. Example would be like kids in Flint, Michigan, blah, 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 blah. Slowed cognitive behavioral decline, the C word, a whole bunch of other health issues, right? Then you have people who live in moldy homes. Then you have people who live in very filthy homes or with other allergens like roaches. We're talking about poverty. Roaches cause severe health problems. We are so allergic to them. Also, rats, stuff like that, right? You guys have to think about that, because when people think about pulling themselves up their bootstrap, they're usually like a middle class person doing it, and they're thinking that way, or an upper class person thinking that way. You guys can just do that. I did it. Try to do that when you can't breathe because you're covered in feces of roaches and rats. And man, there's some stuff. I was a social worker. I had to walk into places where I could not breathe. My face would get puffy. My eyes would be like this from allergies. And I'm just like, imagine living like that with everything crawling around. sometimes I can still feel the crawling. Like you get like that creepy sensation after you've been in that. I was in there for a few minutes, sign this paper. Do you need any of this? Do you need that? And then like I would leave and I still think about it and I want to like shake because it's like so freaking gross. But okay, so that's just that. Then of course, the fluoride in the water. Well, let's not talk about what that does, or the hormones in the water. Let's not talk about what that does. We're not allowed to talk about that, but you guys know what it's doing to everybody. Let's move on. All right. Food deserts impact obesity and health outcomes. How hard is it for someone to get healthy food, right? Especially people who are working class, working long hours, don't have time to cook, don't have the money to Uber Eats, don't have resources and stuff like that. Or maybe there's only like a Walmart or like an Aldi's or something like that in the area. They don't have access to maybe a higher end grocery store, or there's no, what's it called? Organic farmers markets nearby. Like these are real situations for real Americans right now, right? We are the most unhealthiest country. You have a higher chance of getting the C word here than in any other part of the world. Yay, America. All right. So areas with mostly fast food, convenience stores lead to worse health outcomes compared to places with fresh markets, real food, right? Okay. Workplace culture. All right. Pick yourself up out of your bootstraps, boy. Workplace culture. A Stanford study found that high stress jobs with toxic work environments increase the risk of heart disease and depression and obesity. I'll tell you a story. Google and other companies with positive work cultures. Everything is great, guys. Enjoy your nap pod. They have employees who live healthier and longer lives. Who would have thought? Okay. So sometimes they'll have like daycare free working for the company, or they'll give you really good health care. They'll give you like more vacation days, whatever. Whereas when I was working in social work, right, they would make us do mandatory volunteer work. How can you do mandatory volunteer work? And they would take all of our freaking weekends and they would make us do mandatory volunteer work. And they're like, if you don't do this mandatory volunteer work, guess what? You're out. You're out. You don't meet company culture. Are you freaking kidding me? And then I had a very evil boss, obese, hated me. I didn't even say 2 words to her, just decided the second she saw me that she was going to destroy, and told me, she's like, listen, I don't like you. I'm going to go through all your charts. I'm going to find something wrong and you're out of here. I had been working there for 5 years, y'all. 5 years, perfectly fine, no problems with nobody. And then she comes in with her online MBA. Is that a degree? I don't think so. Online MBA, who she told me in private that you can just like look up all the answers to all the tests on one browser and then do the whatever tests on the other browser. So, wow. Wonderful. Anyways, I think you can get an MBA for like $200 now. I saw it on Groupon. Anyways, I digress. So she stressed me out. So she was calling and cursing me out, saying she was going to fire me and find stuff in my charts and blah, 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 right? I ended up getting severe reflux. Like I had never had reflux in my life. So severe, I was choking on freaking acid all the time. And then I went to a regular old doctor, gastro, whatever, doctor type guy. And he gave me a prescription to this medication. But thank God I have the mental capacity to look up the side effects. And I found out if I take these pills, I will definitely die earlier. I am depleting all these minerals. The side effects are worse than what I am dealing with now. I would be on the road. And once you take one prescription medication, you're toast, bro. You're toast because you are down the pipeline to early demise. That's just how it is. Anyone who knows about the life insurance industry, they'll tell you, if you even take one medication, you usually can't even get qualified, right? They know to the day, to the month when you're out, because they know the how it goes. You take this medication, it causes these defects, this thing, you lose a hip by this age, and then you're immobile, and then boom, you're dead, right? That's how it goes. So you have to be aware. Anyways, I was smart enough to know that. I researched that, and I'm like, I can't take this junk. So I didn't take that. I ended up quitting my job thanks to my husband, because I was privileged. Okay. I was privileged. I didn't pull myself up out of my bootstraps. I was privileged to have someone who told me, you know what? You don't have to work. Just quit. You don't need to work. I'll take care of you. Just don't work. Imagine if I didn't have that. I would be sick. God knows what would have happened, right? So let's stop this and let's realize that anyone here who can listen to this has a computer, has free time during the day to watch a live stream. You're privileged, right? We're privileged. We can pull ourselves up from our bootstraps, right? Somebody who's in another situation, maybe they can't. So let's be a little kinder. Anyways. All right. City design affects your physical activity. This is a huge one, all right? And I've been saying walkable cities lead to lower obesity and heart disease rate. Walkability. Walkability is so freaking, that's a life hack. All right. So people in New York City, even though it's like the air is toxic, the people are toxic and crazy, and there's lots of homeless people and lots of weird woke laws and stuff like that, they still have lower obesity because they are not car dependent. Suburbia sucks, right? It sucks. You don't want this. You want to live someplace that's walkable. But then again, you don't want to be in a freaking dirty city, because that's not the greatest. So you'll be skinny, but you'll probably be exposed to a lot of toxins. So it's still going to make you unhealthy. You need to be someplace walkable. A walkable, nice, smaller town is ideal, right? We need to actually go back to when people had like those cute little townhomes where the bottom floor was a little shop for the family, and then they lived upstairs. That is what we need. We need that type of structure, and everybody has one. So like you guys have a coffee shop, you guys are a doctor, you guys give pedicures, you guys do facials, you guys are a hair salon, like all in one city block. A little grocery store for the community, a little farmer's market. This is how we're supposed to be living. We're not supposed to be living like this. The other thing, this is what friggin' is hilarious to me. We are having such an influx of people who are fleeing from New York to Florida. And I go on Bumble trying to find a friend. I know that's like weird and shit, but whatever. When you're old, you do what you got to do. So I go on Bumble. And all the New Yorkers are like, well, I can't wait to go hiking with my new buddy. Hiking? We're in Florida. It's flat. There's no hiking trails. You want to go to the Everglades? How much DEET can you put on your skin before you die? Because you're going to find out. If you're not eaten by an alligator, you're going to be swarmed by mosquitoes. Like there is this guy that walks in the Everglades at night to pick up pythons, because we have a python problem, you guys. So he picks up pythons, and you'll see it's like billions. It's like just moving like a swarm of mosquitoes everywhere, all biting him everywhere. That's the environment. You want to go hiking in that? We have maybe 2 months where we can go outside and not be either swarmed with mosquitoes, dripping with sweat, because it's hot and humid. It's hot and humid. Okay. So you have to understand, have you ever been in a sauna, right? That's what it's like going outside. You're in a swamp, a hot swamp, right? It's painful. But yeah, and New York City is a dump, but here's a swamp. So, I mean, pick your poison. All right. So no, we will not be hiking in a swamp, you psychos. I mean, you could walk along the beach. That's okay, because the wind kind of gets rid of the mosquitoes, except for sunset and sunrise. So you don't want to do a sunset walk on the beach because you'll get swarmed, and you don't want to do a sunrise walk on the beach because you'll get swarmed. But midday, when it's really, really hot and you're sweating like crazy, you can walk on the beach. Now you're going to get burned. So You got to get a hat, a big one, and some sunscreen. I like a zinc oxide. It's not toxic, all right? Okay. The company you keep influences your risk-taking behavior. Now, it doesn't influence me because I'm mentally strong, right? But why am I mentally strong? Because my dad would, if I did not do the right thing, right? He trained me from very, very young. Do not follow the crowd. Don't do what they do. You don't want to be like them, right? But imagine if you don't have anyone in your life who tells you that, or if they're just following the crowd. Their friends are drinking alcohol, so they're drinking alcohol. Their friends are cheating, they're cheating. Their friends are going to the club, not sleeping, they're going to the club and not sleeping. So risk-taking behavior is increased with peer pressure. Teens who hang out with troublemakers are more likely to engage in risky behavior, including substance abuse. So if your friend's doing crack, you're not going to think it's whack. You're going to think it's okay. What? Yes. The benefits of a vigorous copulation life. Interesting. I'll consider it. All right. Religious or community ties extend your life expectancy. So people who attend religious services or have a strong community ties live longer. Blue zones are just places where people live long because they have the strongest community bonds. Whether it's religious community bonds or a social community bond, you need to have community bonds. And the other thing about the blue zones is they just eat real food. Whether it's real vegetables that are not GMO and filled with pesticides and nutrient dense because their soil isn't depleted, and they're not hybridized because that depletes stuff, and they have the community, right? So you need community and healthy, real foods. You could be vegan if you live in a place where the vegetables are real and not hybridized or GMO, blah, 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 everything I said. And you can eat all meat if that is safe, right? So it doesn't matter what you eat as long as it's real food, never processed. Yes, this is true. I mean, I'm for this. I love this idea. We should all become Amish. Yeah, I'm totally not vegan and I'm not for that, but you can survive as a vegan under very specific circumstances that we cannot replicate in America because our soil and our seeds and everything is just trash. All right. Your environment can make you smarter or dumber, right? Yes, this is true. Being in nature improves cognitive function, your memory, while being in urban overstimulation type environments like a city, crowds, mess, worsens focus, right? People in high stress, noisy environments, crowded cities, perform worse on cognitive tasks than those close to nature. This is something people don't understand. You need to be in a place where at nighttime it is quiet, nothing but nature sounds, right? If you hear cars, trains, planes, beeping, sirens, people screaming, noise, people walking, chatter, all that stuff while you're supposed to be sleeping, your brain never hits deep sleep. You're more likely to have cognitive decline. You're more likely to have cognitive issues as you get older, and younger people are getting these things, right? So you have to remember silence is important. Plus, the thing is, people will go, okay, also, those type of environments usually have a lot of light pollution, and any sort of light flickering device, anything, no matter what the color is, people go, red is better. It's better, but it's still bad. It's still going to cause you problems. It has to be pitch black to sleep. Pitch black. You can wear an eye mask, but the problem is if you wear the eye mask, sometimes they can get dusty, mites on them. It's not ideal. You want to just be able to not wear anything and go to sleep perfectly fine. The other thing is ear, like hearing stuff. If you put stuff in your ears, you're more likely to get fungus in your ears. So you can't be doing that for 8 hours every night because it's going to make you go crazy. You got to get rid of the noise pollution. You got to do something for that. I was able to sleep a lot better when I got hurricane impact windows. It was a huge, huge life change to me, right? All right. Expectations shape performance. So a Harvard study found that when teachers expected students to excel, they performed better, even if the expectations were randomly assigned. So this is the study, right? The teachers were told, they just got like a sample of kids. Half of them were good, half of them were medium, half of them were low performers, and they split them equally into two groups. They told one teacher that these kids are gifted, right? Their IQs from both were the same on average, and like it was evenly distributed. They worked it out. The ones that the teacher was told were gifted performed better because the teacher expected them to perform better. Because if someone has high expectations of you, you will rise to meet that, right? That is why if you want someone that you care about to do better, you never say you never do this or you never do that or blah, blah, blah. You have to be like, I am so proud of how much better you're getting. Or I love how you gaslight them in the right way. We'll talk about how we can use manipulation tactics for ethical reasons, because I'm a little sick and tired of everybody using them for evil. We need to use manipulation for good. You should always manipulate people you love to be better people. So, for example, my kid said, oh, I'm a girl. I'm really bad at math. Blah, 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 blah. I can't do this. It's too hard. Girls are bad at math because somebody told her that because they're dumb. So I go to her and I'm like, your teacher told me you're like really smart at math. And, you're doing much better than the other kids. And she doesn't understand why you think that you're not good at math because you're like one of the best ones. And she's like, but my grades aren't that great. She's like, yeah, but the other kids, it's so much harder for them. And she says that you understand it so much better. And their grades are even worse because, she doesn't know what their grades are. So you just manipulate, whatever. And then guess what? She went from a D to an A in a semester. Quiet, Ben. People suck at math. People suck at what you tell them they suck at. Stop. That's what the study shows. So I told her she was amazing at it and everybody agreed and that she was doing so good and that she was doing better than the boys. And what is she talking about? And that, no, actually studies show that girls do better at boys in math. Now she's number one in math. Okay. So whatever it was, gaslight them to do better. Always. Media and information diets influence your beliefs and your actions. This is you guys, okay? Exposure to misinformation. Let's forget about the misinformation. Negative news affects your mental health and your worldview. So if you're constantly told all women are skanks, all men are cheaters, everybody's a liar, everybody's narcissistic, everybody's autistic, everybody's depressed, everybody's wanting to off themselves. If you're constantly fed all this negative stuff, you go down a negative spiral. So people who consume constant doom scrolling about these type of things, they have high anxiety levels. And if you filter your media consumption to positive stuff, growth mindset, happy stuff, look on the bright side stuff, let's do better stuff. Yes. If you just filtered your stuff to the more positive, then you'll feel better, right? And you'll attract better because whatever you feel is what you attract. That's how life works. When you think everybody's going to do bad stuff to you, there's something called the fawn syndrome, right? Fawn syndrome is, let's say you have low self-esteem, right? Girls tend to get it a lot, but sometimes guys do too. They get really depressed. Fawn syndrome is when you have low self-esteem and you assume people are going to hurt you, right? So if you assume maybe they're going to cheat on you, they're going to lie to you, they're going to use you for something, they're going to do something negative to you. That's fawn syndrome. So these people, they found that their body contorts like a certain way, their voice is a certain way, their eye contact is a certain way. Everything is very attractive to predators, right? Because what people who are predators, who are going to do those things do, is they look for weakness. The person who's with the shoulders back and taking up a lot of space, what's up, buddy? they're not going to get the predator coming to, they're too loud, they're too annoying. I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. They want someone who's meek. And guys do it too. Don't pretend this is a female trait. I've seen guys do it. Oh, okay, do you want to go with me to like a movie or something? Fawn syndrome. Oh, I don't know. It's okay if you don't want to. Blah, 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 blah. Fawn syndrome. You do not want that. It attracts predators. So imagine you're a dude, right? And you're doing that. You have this body where you're kind of like into yourself. You're kind of like this. Don't make eye contact. You don't stand up straight. You have like a hunched, the hunched posture. That signals to predators. So let's say someone who has that then gets a lot of money, resources, power, fame, something, right? What is he going to get? Yeah, maybe destiny. My God, you guys. So yes, it's you could say it's a beta thing, whatever. Anyways, so somebody who has the fawn syndrome, when they get some sort of resource or something that a predator would want, right? They know exactly who, they're not going to go for the successful person whose shoulders are back. They're taking up a lot of space. What's up? I can handle myself. What do you want? Why are you like, well, who will challenge you? They're going to look for someone who's like this, but has something that they want. Now, the predators are coming. So then the person with the fawn syndrome assumes everyone's a predator because that's who they're attracting. Imagine if you're a very secure, mentally stable, happy, healthy, honest, kind, compassionate person, and you see someone like this. You're going to be like, something's wrong with them. All the bells and whistles are going to go up because that is dangerous. Somebody who's like this shows signs that they are dangerous to you. They are weak. There's something wrong. They could be like this because maybe they're thinking of attacking you or something like that. So they're giving off this vibe that you don't really know off the top of your head, but it's kind of like victim vibe, and it turns off healthy, mentally stable people. So you have to really understand if you are portraying that. And there was times in my life where I think I might have acted like that. I was like a little depressed, especially like after like my 6-year relationship ended. I was like kind of like this and little, yeah, you could kind of like an incel-ish. You could say that, right? So you kind of like have this defeated personality, right? You're very drowned and down, rah, 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 right? So when you are in that state of mind, all the predators are going to be activated if you have something that they want. But if you don't have something that they want, they're just going to be mean to you because what are you going to do? You're a victim. You can't defend yourself. So people who are just narcissistic, sociopaths, psychopaths, whatever, anyone who has any sort of like personality disorder is just going to be mean to you because you're in their way and you have nothing to offer them. And what are you? So you have to be very careful. And remember, you can repel or attract what you want by how you are. How you are is what's going to attract or repel what you want or what you don't want. So you have to change yourself first. But it is what it is. Anyways, thank you guys for coming. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? I think I wanted to say something about like what you can do, because we don't want to leave on a negative note. We don't want that. Okay. So what are some things we can do to change our environment so we don't succumb to all of this negativity, right? The first thing is curate your digital environment. Your mind is just a product of what you consume. That's all it is. So replace influences with better influences. Unfollow the toxic people. Block anyone who's negative, complainers, gossipers, drama stuff. You don't need that. Follow successful, not narcissistic, successful. There's a difference. You want to follow healthy, inspiring people and watch their content and just like be supportive. People who are supportive to other people, you want to follow people who are nice. Whatever. Watch, read, and listen to people who have a good mindset, or at least the mindset you want, or happy people, or fun people, or comedy stuff. Comedy stuff is freaking great for your mental health. People who like comedy stuff are like the best people, and they don't have like all these hangups that people who are super serious in their little bubbles do. Also, if you're stuck in your environment for whatever reason, you can spend more time in environments where healthier people go, right? So maybe a gym, maybe a library. I know they're free, right? People who go to libraries, there's a certain type of people. You can go there for like a break from chaotic, noisy, stressful environments, right? Co-working spaces are always nice if you can afford to do that, or if there's like a cheap one, or a very cute little park where you can go take your laptop, phone, read a book, whatever. Anytime you can get out of the house, away from a chaotic environment and go to another one, you can like really relax your nervous system, and then you can think clearly. And the more time you spend with nothing to do, nothing to listen to, nothing to think about, and your mind is clear, the better off you are to be mentally healthy. People who clutter their days with a lot of noise, constant stimulation, they have more mental health issues. So you need to have space for nothing where you can process. And then you're going to get all these thoughts and you process them, and then you get rid of the negative ones as they come up. Okay, that's a negative one. Let me get rid of that one. That's a positive one. Let me like focus on that. That's really nice. I like thinking about this. Let's do this more, whatever. Okay, go to nicer areas. If you live in a very dirty, graffiti, garbage, all over the floor type of environment, you can always go take a bus, take the rail, take the subway, take whatever, and go to a nicer area and just spend a couple hours just walking around, just chilling, taking it in. I mean, I used to go around a lot of times by myself. I don't understand why people don't like being alone anymore. We used to be alone all the time when I was younger. People would just hang out by themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. Take yourself out on a date. Take yourself out on a stroll. Take yourself to nature. Go walk somewhere. It's good for you. Then you could find new circles, because as we've learned, your circles are your destiny. So join online communities, find yourself like hobbies and stuff like that. Go to like positive, not negative, Reddits, Discords, masterminds, not the corn ones, not the gossip ones, not the all men are pigs, all women are skanks ones. Positive. Sign up for networking events, lots of seminars, meetups. There's this website called Meetup, whatever. I used to host events all the time for girls. I would very carefully curate the girls and try to find like the hottest, like mommy, whatever influencers online so I can meet them. And that's how I got a lot of my friends. Find mentors, books. If you can't meet someone in person, you can get everything from their book, YouTube's, podcasts, things like that. There's like finance type classes. So if you want to find people who are trying to like do better and make money, a lot of times they're taught by people like, there's a community education center. So like maybe like $50. You can join a class that will teach you about finance or investments or something like that. And the people who go there are usually like trying to do better in your community. So that's really great. And plus they're taught by people who are basically doing this as community outreach, as their acts of service, as their mentorship. And they've already made it in life. They're usually retired or they're made tons of money. And this is just their passion project, just to help out the community. Those are the people who are going to really help you in life. I remember I wanted to learn photography. I went to one of those classes and the professor was retired and he was like a multimillionaire and he would help us with a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't just photography, because he was just bored, retired, and wanting to help out the community, which is like a beautiful thing. All right. Change your mindset for success. This is what I always talk about on my channel. I've done a lot of stuff on this and I will continue to do so because it's so important. Because instead of saying I can't afford it, or I'm not good enough, or people don't like me, so I'll never be successful, or I'm not tall enough, I'm not hot enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not blah, 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 blah. You can reframe everything and change your life by changing yourself, because it's how you show up, right? Instead of fawn syndrome, you're going to be like, I can do this. And people are going to be like, oh, he seems cool. She seems cool. All right. Make strategic moves to leave your bad environment. This is important. Learn high income skills, save money, invest, learn to invest, take classes on it, look for job opportunities in better places. You can like, if you just want to get out of a bad environment, you can always go and teach English in another country. They usually set you up with like living quarters and some expenses and stuff like that. So you'll be able to leave a situation that you don't like. I have sent tons of my friends who are just really depressed in life to go move to Korea and Japan and other places where they were looking for English teachers. You can, if you just have like a 4-year degree, they'll take you. It's really easy. And then you can just, you know, meet new people. You get a whole new, because people who are trying to learn another language they're usually not losers. These are winners, right? They're trying to better themselves. Just entering the class to try to learn a skill means you're already a winner. As far as I'm concerned, that's how you do it. So hang out with people like that. That's really cool. What is up, Chris? I think that is it for today. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. You're not 90. Stop. You can play on a course for like $20 for the day. Then again, it's usually poor people playing. Just have, well, you know, look, it's networking. Networking is important. I do not like golf because the chemicals they use for the lawn is really toxic. Yes. And you guys, I am rich. No, I'm just kidding. I'm spoiled, but I'm not rich. But you know what? That's fine. Okay. Well, I don't know. What do you need? What do you need? All right. So, Simperius, do you want to come up or no? Are you busy? Anyways, so that is all for today. Thank you guys for coming. Make sure you like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. You're not supposed to be networking with women. You're supposed to be networking with dudes if you're a dude, but women should be networking with women. This weekend, every Saturday night, there is proof of life. That is when I allow him out of the basement and then he could come back up, spend a few minutes, breathe some air before he has to go back down to the basement. But anyways, thank you guys for coming and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.
Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Wake up, they're feeding lies. Control the media's got you hypnotized. Trust authority, they'll take your soul. Break the chains, find your own control.